People. Welcome back to another episode of the Orange and Black SoccerCast. We are ready to talk soccer, and even though we don't have the greatest game to talk about that just happened, we do have a game to look forward to here in the future. And yeah, much more than that, we'll just have some fun like we always tend to do. And we got some friends here joining us as well. This is the Orange and Black SoccerCast.
We are underway in the postseason, the first playoff game ever played in Orange County.
It's a 1-2, Bedoy. He's found a great ball into Voltson. Plenty of time. He smashes it home and doubles the visitors' lead. Thomas Voltson.
Now Segber sprinting forward on the counterattack. A little handsy there, crosses it. Pineda, the extra pass. Seaton finishes.
It rolls down to his left and parrying aside. Well taken care of by the Orange County keeper.
We'll leave it for Aiden Quinn. He'll strike towards goal, and it's gone in!
An equalizer and a winner in second half stoppage time for Orange County off the left boot of Aiden Quinn.
This is the Orange and Black SoccerCast, the only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast and on Facebook at Orange and Black SoccerCast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black SoccerCast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora, and I am with you each and every episode as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. Joining me as he does each and every episode, we've got Dylan from County Line Coalition. Dylan, how are things going?
They're a little busy. I've got a couple final projects due this week and a final tomorrow morning, but it's the best time of the week, so I'm pretty excited.
I love that you
for
call it
for the next hour and a half.
I love that you call it the best time of the week. It definitely is whenever we get to talk Orange County Soccer Club and just sort of goof around here like we always tend to do, especially as we get later and later on in each episode, we do that. And part of that fun that we have and the shenanigans we have each and every episode is also Alan. Alan, how are things going for you?
Things are pretty good. We're wrapping up the school year, so we're on the home stretch. And I don't know what Dylan's talking about. This will probably be at least 2 hours of shenanigans.
2 hours of shenanigans?
I'm 5 hours. We're going all night. See you guys next week. I'll stop on Saturday right before the game.
You guys are killing me. I don't know if I can actually go that long tonight. I've been battling a head cold, so if my voice sounds a little weird, or if hopefully I will be in control of muting my microphone if I happen to cough or get a scratchy throat or sneeze. I don't want to torture you for about an hour here with all that mess. So I'll do my best to try and help out with that. But definitely excited to talk Orange County Soccer Club. It's, like Dylan said, it's one of the best times of the week. For Dylan, it's the best time of the week when we're on here. But I don't know if I'd quite say the best time for me. Maybe actually going to matches is a little bit higher up there, but we'll see how things go. Oh, by the way, can you tell I've got some new digs here? You don't just see a plain white wall behind me. I've started trying to build up at least some color behind me, so it's not just a white wall while I'm talking to you. We're showing things. Unfortunately, it looks like Dylan and Alan are going to hide a little bit tonight. They don't want to jump on the camera. So
is that ever not the case?
We're going to eventually have to get you. GIF. We have to get you on there, Dylan.
No, it's fine.
That's fine. So what we're going to do today is we're going to discuss the. I don't know if I have quite the greatest word for it, but the match against LA in Carson. We'll get into it. I'll let Dylan and Alan maybe try and come up with a word or two to describe that match. Then we will have one of our friends from last season coming back, and that's Jacob from Down in the Valley podcast to help us preview the RGV FC Toros match coming up this Saturday. If you those that can remember, he was on our podcast last season, and he was actually one of the finalists for Guest of the Year. So we're glad to have him back on. He'll be joining us shortly. And then we'll just get into our random shenanigans. hopefully not 5 hours worth of shenanigans like I think it was Dylan was calling for there. So if that sounds good with Dylan and Alan, we can get into this stuff. Yes. Dylan and Alan love to chat. And the fun thing is, you guys, if you're watching on the YouTube live stream, you can see exactly what's being chatted back and forth between those two. I rarely get to look at those just because I'm busy not only talking to you guys, hosting this, but also producing, doing all the background stuff, making sure audio is going through and all this fun stuff. So let's get into this LA match. And
can you test my mic really quick?
Your mic. You need a little bit more bass.
Does it work?
A little bit more bass.
Okay. Let me try this one. Does that one work better then?
So I'm hearing that noise. That must mean that there's been some sort of, update in some sort of soccer match somewhere, Dylan. Go ahead and share with us.
Oh, I'm sure there's a game somewhere in some continent happening. I don't know.
Oh, for those of you who've never listened to our show before, we're already into the shenanigans, and we're only, less than 5 minutes in. Let's get into LA. And the league fit that a little bit better. But yes, they went up to Carson to face LA Galaxy 2. And up until about the 91st, 92nd minute, looked like the traveling fans were going to have a fun time, either hanging out after the match at a local bar, or at least even driving home down the 405. And then I think what's been our Achilles heel all season, set pieces. And somehow I think this has happened now multiple times in extra time. Set pieces have come back to haunt us. Let me go to you, Dylan, because you were actually at the stadium. You were there with the traveling fans. Just give us, your brief impressions of the match in general, not just the ending, but just the match in general, and what you liked, what you didn't like on that match.
That was pretty poor, if we're being entirely honest. It wasn't great. There were a lot of wayward passes from basically everyone. Orange County was really sloppy when the game started. It was rough. I mean, I think everyone was settled in their seats because we got in the stadium decently early, but we were like 2 songs in and Lostos score a goal. And you're like, really? Is this what we're doing tonight? It's gonna be one of those nights? Cool. Thrilled already. But they kind of pulled it back together and looks like they wanted to try, or that they cared about playing after giving up that first goal. And then things got better from there on. Of course, Quinny scored that amazing free kick, and then Vinicius flicked on knocked down a header from Harry Forster, which I got to give them both a lot of credit for that one. But it was a frustrating match. It was, I don't know, a lackluster performance. The Lostos really weren't that good, and sure, Juninho was playing for them, but we're so much better than that team. We're so much more experienced, but then we'll score 2 goals every game, but we seem to give up a lot of goals too. And that was one of those times where it's, oh good, there's a bunch of corners in extra time, and I feel like everyone probably knew what was coming. I mean, we've seen it 3 or 4 times now, especially the last few weeks. It's really, really annoying.
So let me ask you, Alan, were you scared when you saw Lostos with a corner kick late in the match, extra time? Were you scared, or were you already sort of thinking, okay, this is probably going in, this is going to ruin the evening for Orange County fans? Or was it a shock that LA was able to get that goal into the net, or that ball into the net?
I think I'm a little bit scared every set piece in every game. I don't think it was anything special about the end. It's just right now it's kind of been more of a not if but when situation. I wrote about it in the power rankings thing this week that the late set pieces kind of started with Fresno, I think. There's been a couple of late set pieces, and giving up those late goals on set pieces kept us out of the Open Cup as well. On that specific set piece, I mean, Harry Forster, I like where he runs toward the ball in the corner kick, and if he stays with his man, that's not a goal. but he runs toward the corner that allows the ball just to get over his head for the Los Dos player to flick it on. But it was so
Here. All right, now we have audio. I apologize for you that were listening. We lost audio. We have audio back. You got to at least see some highlights while the audio was missing there. Great job, Dylan, for catching it. I didn't see when it happened.
That's credit to Logan, actually.
Logan, thank you,
apparently
Logan.
He still can't hear us talking, so we might. Oh, now he can.
Now we can.
All right,
Yeah, now
problem
we can.
solved.
Hopefully the internet stays on. I apologize for that. It's technology, ladies and gentlemen. And I know Dylan always harps on me that I should get hardwired. I recorded my garage, the modem's upstairs, and I don't want to pay to have someone come out and set stuff up.
Oh my God, just buy a Cat 6 cable and run it yourself.
Dude, okay, you can come out and do that, Dylan. So really quick, we'll get into Dylan's thought here really quick, but I do want to let everyone know that's watching us on the live stream. Again, apologize for the audio mishap there, but we do have the highlights on there courtesy of USL Championship that you're watching there. So, Dylan, go back to where we were. Do we miss Josh Hoyveld and Alex Cronelli in the back line?
No, I mean, Josh made a lot of mistakes elsewhere, and really at 35 can't keep up with the 17 to 25-year-olds that really make up a lot of the teams in this league.
We're back. I
Hey,
apologize. Internet issues. Yes. Yeah. Comment. I don't know. Do what you got to do. Let's see. Hopefully this will work. I'm going to try and make sure I don't have anything else going on this computer. Go, Dylan.
All right. So where were we? Did we miss Josh Hoyveld?
Yes.
No, because I think at his age he would have been torn up by the younger players and the quick players in the league, and that really wouldn't have gone over well for us. But I think the bigger issue is that we don't have that on-field leadership, that organization. I don't know what it was about Andre in goal. He seemed to organize really well on the set pieces. Yosh always seemed to know where to go, or at least listened. Everyone seemed to size up pretty well and mark people. And this year we're just letting free headers go a couple a game, and we're just absolutely getting punished for it. I mean, how many games should we have won if we had better defended on a set piece? How many times have we come close where games have been needlessly close because we've given up a goal from a set piece and then have to weather a storm because the team's actually within a shout of equalizing? It's not a fun time. I gotta say, it's actually really frustrating. But I think, yeah, there's some power vacuum. It's gone again. but I think some power vacuum.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I like Harry here, trying to put the blame on either our new decorations back here or maybe even our guests that will be joining on here soon. But Alan, I want to get to you really quick about this match. Maybe the same type of thing we were asking Dylan there. Do we have to worry about what's going on with this team in the back line, and can this be fixed?
I don't know if it's necessarily a backline issue. It just seems to be an organization of set piece. Because some of the times it was like Aiden Quinn being jumped over. Sometimes it's your defensive guy getting jumped over. This time it was Harry Forster just not staying with his dude and trying to like run at the ball for some strange reason. I think it was just a general organization with the team in the box on set pieces. Where are they supposed to be? What are they supposed to be doing? I don't think it's necessarily just straight up on the back line. And I do think it's a solvable problem. I do think it's one we can get figured out because they do decently well. But it just seems to be like once a game, there's a set piece that gets by, whether it's a header or a free kick. If it happens once or twice, sometimes you tip the hat as like, that's a great free kick, hey, whatever. But I think it's been consistently happening, and especially late in games, we just got to make sure we can see that game out.
I mean, it's like almost to the point where we can count it now on all five, on one hand. We're going to move on to the next hand. Because I just thinking back quickly, I know the OCFC match is a similar situation. This match, I think, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, there has to have been at least one or two other matches where just a late minute set piece dropped points for the team. I mean, the team drops points off of it. So very frustrating. Dylan, what was the reaction out there with the traveling fans in the stands when that equalizer went in for LA?
That was pretty deflating. We kept singing. I mean, they did well to fight back. It's stupid and frustrating when you give up an extra time goal and you do it a couple times in a month. But we kept singing in hopes that maybe they'd get another chance in the few seconds that were left and maybe get a winner again. But yeah, I think I may have been one of the more frustrated people just because how many times has it happened? It's the same mistake every time too. It's not like we're getting beat in multiple different ways. It's mostly us kind of shooting ourselves in the foot by giving up a dangerous free kick or not defending on a corner.
Yeah.
And but the ending of that match was not fun.
And then I know you sent out a tweet shortly after that match that I think some other traveling fans probably shared a frustration with you. Can you share that with maybe some of the listeners that didn't make their way out there to the club, or just what was going on there, or that don't follow you on social media?
Yeah. So this is pretty common amongst every soccer team, I think. Any traveling fans, basically, the team will come over at the end of the game and thank them for coming over. High fives or fist bumps or whatever it is. And we didn't get that this game. I mean, there were almost 40 of us, I think. And no one came over. I mean, Koji was the only one that came over, but he was doing looked to be a little bit of a fitness test. So he applauded, and that was mostly it. And that was pretty frustrating. It sucks that you've given up another extra time equalizer and given up 3 points, but we got behind the team for the whole 90 minutes. It's not on us there. We didn't turn on the team. So I was kind of pissed off because basically no one came over, and then a whole bunch of the players, I'll give them credit. They weren't rushing off to get into the locker room or anything. They spent time with some of the fans at the gate as everyone was leaving. But it was just a frustrating. I think that's another. There's not really an on-field leader like there was last year to kind of corral everyone over there. Last year was usually Christian Duke
or Andre Rawls.
Yeah, who would
Andre Rawls every game. He was the one I think that seriously initiated last year's squad mate because he was the one from the beginning get-go going out there and high-fiving the supporters and whatnot. And I think it just slowly built. And I think, like you say, Christian Duke played a big part in that as well. So having those two not out there has definitely hurt. And it sucks for the fans because when you're making that trip, I know Carson's not that far, but it's still, I mean, and even at the home matches, I think the fans feel a little left out or disappointed when you do pour your heart in there for 90 minutes and maybe one player just acknowledges or they come out and just do a brief, 3 or 4 claps and then walk away, especially a big difference from last season.
Yeah, I mean, Andre would come over every game no matter what, and it was either a thanks for sporting or like sometimes it was like a I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And this year there's no one on the field that would go and do that, or goes and does that now, which is a little bit frustrating. Like maybe that's Quinny's job because he's got the armband, but I think especially in an away match that should be part of the post game, especially if you're not like rushing to get into the locker room or anything. But I'll give credit to Michael Seaton because he replied and he said like, "Oh, my apologies, you're correct. Quote, all fans deserve our respect and gratitude, especially fans who travel to see us play. Win, lose, or draw, we should always show appreciation. Hopefully, we can reward everyone with a win next game." So, yeah, it was a frustrating thing.
Yes, hopefully.
But a good amount of them were with people and I think talking to some of the fans on their way out and signing autographs and stuff. So it's not like they all ran off, but nice to acknowledge the group, I think.
Yeah, at least a little bit more right after the match. Alan, really quick before I guess we move on from this, because again, it's one of those matches again that you really just don't want to dwell on because it's in the end, even though you get a point out of it, and we're unbeaten now in 4 or 5 matches in USL Championship action, it still just feels very deflating. So, what are your thoughts on the whole issue with the fans or with the fans not maybe being given any kind of acknowledgement right after the match? Especially after, on that stream on ESPN Plus, they have the fan volume, especially on the other side of the field. They're very, very, very low. I mean, you could faintly hear, but we could hear Orange County Soccer Club fans, Caroline Coalition out there making noise. What are your thoughts, Alan?
Well, I definitely heard Dylan's wonderful vibrato throughout the stream.
Can't amp me like that, man.
I can and I did. But you hopefully want, and I typed this in on the YouTube chat, that it's not like a bunch of young kids. These are guys who are vets. A lot of them have played, a lot of other places that should know these things and should know better. But I also think it speaks to how frustrated the team is as well. I think that the things that we are feeling is frustration, and not finish as strongly as they want to or start as strongly as they want to. I think that shows up with them too, and you can kind of see it a little bit in the way they carry themselves when they're walking off after something like a hard-fought draw that we had at home last time. I just think, I try to give them a little bit of grace because they are feeling that as well. But I do think it's like, hey, you got a bunch of fans that'll show up. And it's the right thing to do to try to build that fan base, especially with, I don't want to say the lack of, we're not getting 15,000 like New Mexico is, although there's not much to do in Albuquerque. But I do think if you want to try to build that fan base, fan interaction is the way to go. It's the way to get people excited. It's the way to build that connection so they feel like they're connected to their team. And I do want to give a shout out to Dylan for pointing that out, and for Koji for coming over, and then for Mike for stepping up and saying, hey, look, it's our bad. And sometimes they just need reminded, hey, we feel this way too. And when you guys win, we'll be right there with you. And when you guys lose, we're going to feel like that too. So just to continue to build that community, I think is important.
Yeah, it was weird that Mike went and said something. I mean, he doesn't wear the armband. It's really not his job. If someone else is less if someone else would have less of that responsibility than anyone else, it would be a guy who hasn't played at all this year. So Kevin Coleman saying hey, our bad, sorry about that. But he doesn't play, so it wasn't really on him. But yeah, I think it's definitely that frustration. Things aren't going to plan. we're well over a quarter of the season in, getting pretty close to halfway, and just 4 or 5 games now. So I guess 5 or 6 really. I'm sure there's a lot of frustration there that they're not pleased with. Kind of a bit of a mess, but I think it mostly just reflects they're frustrated with what's going on in the field. And that's gonna translate everywhere else. Hopefully it's not onto the training pitch and they get all that sorted out, and we just start winning.
Well, yeah, hopefully they can.
We've been saying that for 12 weeks. So,
well, it seems like Michael Seaton is hoping that he can reward the fans with a victory this upcoming match, our next match for Orange County, as they will host RGVFC Toros. I hope I got that right.
Is it the other way around?
So I don't know. We'll find out, because we got Jacob from down in the valley. He was a guest with us last season. He's joining us back again this season. By the way, one of the finalists on our guest of the year on our Orange and Black SoccerCast awards last season. Jacob, welcome back to the Orange and Black SoccerCast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Hopefully you all can hear me here. Thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be back, and I'm looking forward to talking about this upcoming match.
Don't mind Dylan.
Tampa Bay equalized. Also, you're from Texas, so cows are funny.
So, in case you didn't know, that moo is anytime there's some sort of like breaking news while we're live here. Dylan throws out the moo and then gives us the breaking news. So, keep going, Jacob.
But yeah, no, it should be a fun one this Saturday. Just both teams. I mean, we all know how tough this Western Conference has been this season. You either lose or even draw once, and then you have consequences. If you tie that, well, most likely a lot of teams are going to win, so you're going to be moved down 14th. Now, I think Orange County SC, I think I've checked where you all have stood, and I do believe that you all should be higher than where you're at right now. And of course, condolences to the LA Galaxy 2 loss, because I know how that feels. A couple weeks ago, not too long ago, we played LA Galaxy 2. We lost it felt like a loss in the dying minutes, 2-2. And then, of course, same deal, 4-4 when we played them on like a Wednesday on the road as well. So, yeah, they are 100% the worst.
I'll take that, I guess. I mean, all 3 LA Galaxy 2 fans that potentially would ever listen to this, there you go, folks. So, I mean, I guess you look at that as sort of a judging point between these two teams. Both teams, I guess, were lackluster against LA Galaxy 2. How has RGV been? Oh, correct me. Did I get the name of the team right? What's the official name, like with like the 10 words that go into that name?
Yeah. RGVFC Toros. Yeah, you got it. You got it exactly right.
Why do you question me, Dylan?
I just wasn't sure of the ordering there.
You just expect me to mess up, right?
Syntax is important.
What's been going on for RGV though recently? I think recently you had the LA Galaxy 2 match, but what else has been going on with the team? Is their form pretty good, or is there something that Orange County fans maybe could be excited about heading into this match?
All I can say that their form is pretty good. The only problem that I've seen is the way that RGVFC plays against certain types of lineups. And what happens though is really their form right now is kind of like the 2017 Houston Dynamo. And the 2017 Houston Dynamo, what they did is they would counterattack a lot. And of course, when a team would try to counterattack their counterattacks, they wouldn't necessarily be successful. So that's what RGVFC has kind of been doing now. Earlier in the season, they weren't able to score offensively. And now, once they started to score goals, the floodgates basically opened for that. So that was a good thing. But the only problem is sometimes when teams decide to defend their part of the pitch and try to counterattack, when RGVFC cannot find ways around an offense to try and get, or a defense, to try and get into the, 20-yard box and try and score, then it becomes a big problem for them, where the defense or the opposing team will just be able to counter and basically score a goal.
So, in our defense, we probably have a familiar face. I know not for RGV, but I know you guys have that affiliation with the Houston Dynamo. So Leonardo is one of our central defenders back there. He hasn't been like this like steady in the lineup presence. I know he's been in and out here and there, but I know I believe he did play against LA Galaxy too, right, Dylan or Alan? What if you
Yeah,
want to
he's
correct me on
played
that?
since he got hurt I guess a month and a half. Since he got fit again, he's played.
Okay,
So
so
I
he's
think
been
he's going
back
to
in
be
the
that new Yosh player where he's on the later end of his career, but he plays every match.
Yeah, and so I mean, you were talking about how RGV style is similar to what the Dynamo did a few year back. So I can't get my S's in the right spot there. I call it the Dynamos, and then I say a few year back. The Dynamo did a few years back. Leonardo, I believe was part of that squad, or maybe he had just joined at that time. I don't know how the timeline there. Is that someone that is he a type of defender that gives RGV trouble, or is that the type of defender that RGV is excited to go up against and look forward to maybe being able to beat him?
Well, it all depends on the way that the coach is really able to set Leonardo in. Sometimes I do recall that he was a bit aggressive, to say so the least, because of just his Brazilian style. I believe that's where I believe he's from, is Brazil, and so yeah, he was kind of aggressive, and Coach Wilmer Cabrera last year left him on late and in bad situations where they were trying to hold out for a draw and stuff like that. So yeah, he can be a threat for sure. He has been pretty good, or he was pretty good for Houston Dynamo before, of course, going over to Orange County. So it's just a level of where will his mentality be for that game, if even or if coach decides to even put him in for Orange County, if anything, if he even starts too.
Dylan, do you have a question for Jacob?
No, not off the top of my head.
Alan,
did you think I did? This caught me off guard. I was just reading about Leonardo. So
I don't want to be like hogging the spotlight here. If you or Alan have any questions for our guests, I definitely want to open it up to you guys. Alan, do you have anything for Jacob? Any questions?
Well, I should say rewatched. I watched the RGV San Antonio game and did notice that RGV did. I looked up the stats. It's like 37% of possession. They really did just kind of counterattack them to death. It was like crazy how fast they were able to counter. Like you said, Salazar's scoring some goals, but if Orange County defends that a counterattack really well, should we be looking for RGV to try and break defense down?
Try and break that defense down would probably be one to look out for is Chuy Enriquez. Same with Malik Foster, even on that offensive zone. And lots of times the defense to really look out for would be Connor Donovan and Kyle Adams would probably start in the back line, because normally what coach would do, he would go with a 4-3-2-1 or 4-2-3-1, excuse me. And so that would really help with bringing out just the way that RGVFC likes to play, which is that counter. But like I said, if that happens, then of course RGV sometimes tries to take some far shots, and we do have guys that that are able to put shots on target from far range, but it's not likely that they may go in. But of course, it's just a question of half the time too, is RGVFC's, what are we going to see? Are we going to see a full team that's ready to just win? Or are we going to see a team where maybe the defense will play out of their minds, but maybe make one mistake to where they let in a goal? And then, of course, the offense might not be able to put a shot on target, or maybe just put 3 shots on target instead and not actually get goals. And so, of course, it can all depend on how this team really reacts to the way that a team can counterattack their counterattacks sometimes.
How do you guys look when you play a team that isn't in possession? So if you play another team that likes to counterattack and doesn't know what to do when they have the ball, do you guys freak out a little bit and get the ball and then immediately kick it forward and lose possession again just to not have possession? Or what normally goes on there? Do you ever really shake it up from that style and maybe try and hold the ball a little bit more?
When we're kind of forced to just hold the ball a little bit more, we do kind of do that. Sometimes our players are able to just really control possession some. But of course, yes, we can keep possession in the midfield, but as we all know, as soccer fans, that's not going to win you any games. It's who can put the ball in the back of the net more than the other opposing team. So when, of course, they do get that opportunity to move the ball forward and have a chance to try and shake things up and try and beat the defense, then it sometimes does become a problem. And when it becomes a problem, that's when RGVFC really loses their, I guess, their mentality, really, or they're just, their mentality, and might concede a goal off of a counter that they really didn't want happening.
Or perfect. I had my mic muted there, so I apologize for that. Man, I always do. It's been one of those nights with like the audio issues and droppy internet, and maybe it's the curse of this, maybe it's you, because last season you came on and we were so confident heading into the RGV match, me and Dylan, and somehow, some way, RGV, if I can recall, RGV came out and sort of just slapped us silly and went home with a victory, if I can recall correctly. I'm sure you remember that score off the top of your head, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It might have been a 3-0 victory or something like that. I could be way overreacting.
What'd you say, Dylan?
2-0 away, which snapped a winning streak for us, and then 2-0 at home, or 0-2 at home, which snapped a winning streak for us.
And if I recall, RGV wasn't as good of a team as they are this season. Last season,
they were. I mean, Jacob, you obviously know this pain, but you guys were terrible last year.
Oh yeah, we couldn't put a ball on goal. We couldn't put a shot on goal. We've already, I think we had 8 goals in this whole season or something crazy like that last year, and I think we've already doubled that close or something crazy like that. So it was just because our offense couldn't put up goals, and that was a real struggle because we had a defense that could draw us games when we didn't necessarily deserve to have a draw. And by that point, we were playing with nothing to lose because we knew we weren't going to make the playoffs, and we knew our only opportunity was to beat some good teams at the end of the year and make our rivals miss the playoffs, which we in fact ended up doing, which was San Antonio FC at the time, of course, before all these other Texas teams came into the West.
I know she should have just like a Texas conference when it comes to USL Championship with all the teams you guys got going on. I think it makes it amazing though for travel purposes. I mean, I know Texas is a very huge state, but I'm sure you could say there's this pride when you're like RGV traveling up maybe to Austin or to San Antonio or wherever it may be that you're going to travel within the state to get that. It's a neat thing. And unfortunately for us, LA Galaxy isn't that type of travel when it comes to the league, but we do have some local stuff, but not quite like, I guess, I think just Texas. It's just a Texas thing, right? Let's do this. Do you have any questions for us regarding Orange County or anything you want? Because I know you'll probably have some of your listeners checking in, hearing what you had to say or how you rep your team. Do you have any questions for us to relay the message to your fans?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, the question to me would be, what would your prediction be for Saturday? What are you thinking will probably happen this Saturday? I know it's going to be a tough game for both teams, knowing that, we're kind of in a dogfight for a playoff position at the moment. So what would your prediction really be coming into this match?
I'll defer to Alan or Dylan if one of you want to take this question.
Yeah, Orange County will score 2 goals. And that's my only prediction.
What about you, Alan?
Concede.
I think it's going to be kind of I agree with Dylan, like a 2-1. I'm looking at the stats for the two teams, and it's practically identical, down to successful passes and same amount of goals scored. No, 21 and 22, 19 goals conceded for OC, 21 for RGV. Everything's practically identical as far as these two teams go. And Orange County tends to...
Oklahoma 4, Tampa Bay 3, 59th minute, Wayne Gordon.
Wow.
It's got to be those blue kits they're wearing. So, yeah, I think
you just threw Allen off, Dylan.
Woo! I think Orange County doesn't do as well on the road. Seems like they have to fight to get a draw, and I think just being at home is going to give them just that touch of an edge that gets them over that draw at home, and they get a 2-1 win.
I do have some stats that support that, compiled by Orange and Black SoccerCast statistician.
And who is that?
Our good friend Andy, of course.
Oh, yes.
And listener emeritus, Andy. So in 2018, we averaged 1.2 goals against per game. 2019, we're averaging 1.6 goals against per name. But doing this away, we score on average 1 goal away this year. Last year, we were scoring on average 1.94 away. So, yeah, we're conceding more. We're not scoring as many, and that's why we're drawing constantly. It's not. I think Alan's right. Like, being home is going to make the difference, but it's not a guarantee. Last year we were confident because the quality in the teams was so different. This year I think they're in current form pretty similar to each other, and I know the standings don't really reflect that, but I do think that Orange County is still a higher quality side than RGV. No disrespect, Jacob, but they just haven't found how to make it work yet.
Any rebuttal from Jacob on that? No disrespect, Jacob.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we haven't played a lot of road games, and of course, I know that we went on a nice little West Coast road trip here not too long ago. Of course, playing LA Galaxy 2 on the road once, playing Portland Timbers 2, which was our first road victory, actually. And then, of course, we played Phoenix Rising 2, sadly losing that game 3-1. So, of course, just like I said, it could go either way. Of course, the road games, that was the last one. And, of course, we wanted to pick up 4 points, or we wanted to really pick up 7 points, or the whole, of course, 9. But we didn't end up having that. So, yeah, it can go either way for sure. It's just what I really expect to see, because, of course, half the time for RGVFC, it's not the same lineup. And so that causes chemistry to decrease, of course, just like on the FIFA games. When you play Ultimate Team, you have that little FIFA chemistry bar or whatever. And so it is exactly the same thing. And what I'm seeing will probably happen is we'll probably get Tyler Derrick coming to Orange County SC. Another player that I would see would be Chris Duval. Sam Junkwa would probably be on that back line as well. And so that would cause a bit of problem for Houston, or for, RGVFC just in general. And so if that were to really happen, yes, I would mainly see that Orange County SC would have no problem in probably winning a 2-1 or even a 2-0 game, because it's just half that time when you get those different players and it doesn't help. And of course, when that happens, our coach has to play those players for at least, if I'm not mistaken, 60 minutes. So then it becomes a problem if we do concede goals.
So for my prediction, I'll just throw this out there. Darwin Jones is going to score a hat trick. Jerry Von Wolfgang is going to score a hat trick. Harry Forrester is going to score a hat trick, and Patrick McLean is going to have a clean sheet in this match, thus giving me like
Michael Seaton.
Well, no. It's giving me an early lead in our fantasy soccer for the month of June for playing for Pride. So I'm going to have like a bunch of points racked up when all those players get hat tricks and Patrick McLean has a clean sheet in goal. So yes.
I'll put my money on the club's Twitter account getting hacked again.
Yeah,
me too.
The funny thing, Jacob, is the last time I went just on this like crazy prediction, I predicted I think Phoenix Rising would beat us 5-0, and we actually came out victorious against Phoenix. So I'm hoping maybe that I'm thinking it'll be at least an exciting match, and hopefully the good guys come out victorious here in Orange County. No, like Dylan says, no disrespect to Jacob or the RGV fans. We're an Orange County podcast. We sort of have to maybe play the homer role. But, being realistic, I think it's going to be a tough match. I think RGV is going to be a tough win if Orange County can get that victory. And I think Orange County needs the victory more than RGV needs the victory at this point, just because they've been just in the last few minutes of matches dropping points, which is just the worst. I get it. We haven't lost in quite a few matches here, but when you're, dropping points, going from 3 points to a 1 point because of a goal given up, being conceded in extra time or in the final minutes of a match, that's more deflating than if you're just losing a match outright because you have that 3 points in hand and that happens. Unless anyone else wants to share any other thoughts on this match, I think we gave predictions, which would have been my next question. We already went there because Jacob's just awesome at his thing with podcasts and he knew where to go next. I don't know, Jacob, if you have a few more minutes to hang with us. I do want to ask this question of you because I know we're a USL podcast, a USL Championship podcast, RGV and Orange County, but there is a really big soccer match in Europe coming up this weekend. For those, if you have any fans from your side that are actually making the trip out to California for that match, you can let them know. The club is hosting a viewing party at the stadium. So fans could come out, set up blankets, sit up and watch on the big screen, watch the Champions League final where, at the end of that match, Alan's going to be crying tears because of what happens there. I don't know if you have
tears of joy.
I don't know if you, Jacob, if you have any, fandom on either side of those leagues, or if you even follow Champions League or Europe soccer. But do you have any thoughts of who will win that match? And I can give you a hint right there if you need it.
Well, I hate to say it though, because I am a Liverpool fan. And so, yes, of course, I'm going for it.
So you'll be crying sadness too then after that match.
I don't know. I mean, the good thing is we have our stars that are mainly going to be healthy. I know that Firmino will probably be back. Jurgen Klopp's been in this situation before. He's been in it before. Same with the players. We've got a new goalkeeper, Alisson. And so, of course, it's just a different feel to this whole season. And, of course, this is going to be triumphant considering, what was it, 96 points that we scored in the freaking Premier League and still lost? So
it'll be that much worse when you guys lose.
I predict a win for sure. Just like I said, it seems like it's a different feel. We came back from the best match in the Champions League versus Barcelona. Okay, well, Todd, it was an incredible Champions League. Let's be more true.
A hat trick in the second half of the second leg of a home and home trumps anything Liverpool did against Barcelona. I get it. You guys, I think we're down 3-0 heading into that second leg of the match. Yes, but a hat trick in the second half that you needed all three of those goals. Yeah. So in 45 minutes, a hat trick. And the last goal in that hat trick, literally like the last pretty much play of what was going to go on, because the Ajax goalie had like wasted time on his kick, and somehow, some way, just like a ball just bounced to the right spot. And come on, Lucas Moura, regardless of what he does from this point in his football career, soccer career, is going to go down as a legend for Tottenham Hotspur for that 45 minutes of play. I don't mean to say, I don't mean to, no disrespect, Jacob, on Liverpool's amazing match, because I thought that was semifinals, and now I'm hoping. The thing that sucks is the way those two matches went. I don't know if the teams could do anything to make it even better in this final. So it might be a little bit of a letdown, and but hey, Tottenham. If you want to switch your allegiances now, you could do it. Tottenham.
No, I'm sticking with Liverpool, and the Mo Salah train has left for sure. Of course, another big thing was just because that game as well for Liverpool was that it wasn't the stars that shined. It wasn't your regular Firmino. It wasn't your regular Mo Salah because of the fact that they were injured. It was the bench that came out and showed up a team that, well, in theory, is probably double considering that we had to start the bench warmers up. And so
Yeah.
It was, I mean, that was special as well. Of course, yeah, come Saturday, it should be a fantastic match. It could go either way for sure. The only thing is, I think it will stick more with Liverpool just because they've been in that situation before, and Tottenham hasn't necessarily been in a final for a while. I mean, of course, it's tough to do this 2 straight years in a row and go to a final, which it's almost unheard of in a way, just for a Champions League at least, besides, of course, Real Madrid doing it several times, but that's a different story. So, yeah, you kind of look at it that way as well, and it's just the players know what to expect more than Tottenham does.
So I'll just say this: up the Spurs. Let's and let your fans know if you do have any fans traveling out to California for the match Saturday night, they can head to the stadium. I think the club's opening up the gates at 11 o'clock. They're going to let people put up blankets on the field. The big screen, it's not a huge screen, but the scoreboard that has a TV on there, they're going to put the match up on there. They did something similar for the World Cup final, and I think there was a pretty decent turnout. So, yeah, let them know if they want to find anywhere to go to watch the Champions League final while they're out here to watch RGV against OC. Come to the stadium and hang out with a bunch of other soccer fans that might be there for that. I'm trying to make it happen. Unfortunately, that date coincides. I have my oldest son is having a track meet that's supposed to end around 11:30. It is also my youngest son's birthday on that day, and he wants to make it out there. So it depends on how that works out. We'll figure it out. Hopefully we'll get out there at least to watch some of the match. Really quick before we let you go, because I know it's getting late for you over there in Texas. Do you want to let our listeners know where they should find you anywhere on social media for the podcast? Just plug away.
All right. Yeah. You can find me on social media at JacobYoung456 on Twitter. And of course, for our podcast, Down in the Valley, you can also find us on Twitter at Down in the Valley Podcast, as well as on YouTube, Down in the Valley Podcast. Make it pretty simple there for you. And then, of course, also, yeah, thanks to, I guess, a Beautiful Game Network, we're part of it. BGN Written is one of our co-hosts, is a writer there as well. And can find our main host, really, that just puts everything together just like you do. Edson Ochoa at E_Ochoa8, something like that. So you should be able to find him really well, but I think I'm done plugging away for sure.
Yeah, and that's sort of where, we found you when we brought you in last year, part of BGN, Beautiful Game Network. I always forget to do this at the beginning of the podcast. I'll eventually get there, but we are brought to you by Golden Goal Press, Roughneck Scarves. You'll hear more about it as we get to the very end of this podcast as well. Jacob, I want to, if you're ready to head out, I want to let you go because I know there's a time difference between Texas and California. Or if you want to hang out for our very final segment where we just share a random thought with our listeners, you're free to do so. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll stay for that random thought. I mean, there's some really great thoughts for sure. This is basically, I kind of live on a California time. I think I like it better in California time just because it seems cooler.
Should come out and start supporting Orange County Soccer Club then. Let's get to this. Let's get to our random thought, and I'll let Jacob sort of process what his random thought is. Just so you know, Jacob, it could be about soccer. It could be about anything. Dylan likes to share books. And last week, I read a weird version of a Dr. Seuss book, at least the first couple lines. But we'll go to Alan first because I haven't heard Alan's voice in a while. Alan, what would be your random thought for this evening?
My random thought for this evening is a shout out to going back and rewatching TV shows that you thought you didn't like, but now secretly really like. We've been missing Game of Thrones, so we decided we wanted to watch season 2 of Barry, and we weren't huge fans of season 1, but we've been rewatching the first season again, and we are absolutely enthralled with it. It's a good, knowing that it's not funny now. Like the first time we're like, oh, it's Bill Hader, it's gonna be funny, and then it's not funny. I think going into it, kind of knowing what it is, helped me enjoy it a little bit better the second time around. So shout out to watching shows that you weren't sure you were huge fans of for the second time.
Perfect. Dylan, what about you?
This week, my literature recommendation is actually a New Yorker article, which none of you now have excuses. It's about soccer, and it has a audio recording that you can listen to, but it's called "How Football Leaks is Exposing Corruption in European Soccer." It's a great read or a great listen. 51 minutes long if you listen to it. It's a longer read for sure, but it's really interesting just to see how sketchy big European clubs are, and how dirty money flies around in between the East and the West, specifically through sports. Yeah, it's maybe not the the
It's a book that
bright
no one's
spot
gonna ever
of,
read, right?
yeah, I mean, it's not the bright spot on European soccer that you'd want the week before the Champions League final and the day before the Europa League final, but that's a part of life now. I mean, so it's a great read. Definitely recommend it. You can find it on my Twitter, or you could just search New Yorker and then Football Leaks on Google, or probably Bing or DuckDuckGo if you're a real responsible person, and it will be one of the first results. So, yeah. Oh, also, if you are the ref and it's the 89th minute of the game or whatever, and a guy is on a yellow for simulation and he goes down and you don't think there was contact and they simulating again, either he gets sent off or the guy that takes him down gets sent off. So, like maybe one day we'll get a good ref, but
So you're
probably
talking
not.
about
It'll be some
I would assume you're talking about
5'5"
Darwin
man child who
Jones.
doesn't know how to run a game.
Darwin Jones in the box goes down, waves
He
it
goes
off.
down outside the box. So why is he
Is it outside?
diving 2
Okay.
yards outside the box?
He was touched. I watched that. He was touched. But yeah, refs don't like to call that for some reason for us. Let's go to Jacob. Jacob, can you top what Dylan had to present there?
Well, yeah, I mean, he talked a lot about, well, kind of what I thought, of course. I'm thinking of a lot of things, actually, which is, I guess, really just the city of Baku, Azerbaijan. Not just to mention that they are hosting the Europa League final tomorrow, but about, what was it, 4, maybe even 5, well, I don't necessarily know exactly when the time frame was, but of course they also started to host a Formula One race down there in that city, which is just absolutely crazy. And of course, it's in that district to where it's all the old time town, which looks beautiful, but at the same time, it's just very odd how that has all taken place. And then, of course, not long after, Formula One decided, let's have a race in Vietnam as well. Apparently, there's a good market there too. So it's really strange. You get to these, I guess, kind of Asian and Middle Eastern markets, and you think this is going to be a perfect place. Well, guess what? For fans, they're not necessarily going to be able to go there. And some might have some issues with, I don't know, borders and not being able to go over there because they might be in danger for themselves. And so it's very odd how those European events take place and they just decide on, okay, let's go there and we'll make this a whole big deal and we'll see if it lasts for a long time, which once again, of course, they're never going to change. So whether it's UEFA, whether it's F1, because of the money, exactly. So that's one thing that's kind of been on, I guess, everybody's mind in social media.
Well, at least in soccer terms, at least it's Arsenal and Chelsea. So who cares what happens out there? I mean, they can get stuck out there forever, coming as a Tottenham fan right here, so my random thought for this episode, I did talk about it last week. My U8 team had a little like mini playoff tournament, the first time they've ever done something like this. We played four games in like 4.5 hour span, but they were like half games. They were 20-minute games for these kids. They fought really hard. The tournament consisted of 5 teams, which included our team. 2 of the teams were club teams. Another team was this amazing, pretty much like youth Mexico team or something like that. And then there was one other team that we were pretty evenly matched with. My team ended up losing all 4 matches. Although against one of the club teams, they did have the match of the like tournament there where like all the parents for these other teams were like just congratulating my boys for how hard they fought in a 1-0 loss to the club team, where my son had a chance to get an equalizing goal in like the final minute of the match. Unfortunately, the goalie for the team was just amazing and stopped him. But I was proud of my boys because even though they kept losing, and me as a coach, I'm getting frustrated because there's some calls the ref isn't making. They still kept fighting hard. They were trying their hardest till the very end. So even though we lost all 4 matches, they had an amazing tournament. They fought hard. And hey, I'm a coach. All my players on my team are all players that are not like these like all-stars. I've never told a player because of his talent that he can't be on my team. I'll take any player on my team. Whereas again, if you're playing against club teams or some of these other really like established teams where the coaches are building these like all-star teams, it's hard to really truly compete with them. But my boys, again, they kept fighting hard, and as a gift, they gave me this cool little ball. They all signed it. My son's name is right there. If I could turn it the right way, there's my son. Who's on the team, and then my other son who is not on the team. He wanted to sign it because he wanted to feel really cool. Yeah, no, I was proud of the boys. They fought hard, and yeah, as a coach, I was frustrated because 4 losses in a 5-hour span is never fun. But again, I love it, and most of those teams are coming back to join my team next year. Hopefully, we will have an even better season and go from there. So I want to just give props out to the team, and if any of them are listening, awesome job on that, boys, because you guys were amazing. You guys did great. So yeah, that's that. So I guess with that said, I think it's time to sort of wrap things up. We've had fun here. I want to thank Jacob for coming on again, like you did last season. It's been fun. We might have to have you again in the future. We have another match against you guys this season, so we'll maybe work something out with that. And of course with Dylan and Alan. For those of you who listen every episode, you've heard their social media stuff. Unless they really are dying to give it to you, I'm just going to sort of skip it this episode because there's no need to hear it each and every single episode. If you want to follow them or find them, go to our website, message us, or look for them on social media. So what I'll do this is for Jacob, our guest, for Dylan, for Alan. My name is Ray. This is the Orange and Black SoccerCast, and we are out.
Win or lose, we will always follow you. Let it rain, let it pour, we will sing forevermore. Our opponents know we will fight until and show. Forever orange and black, you can bet your life on that. CLC, ole, ole, ole. CLC, ole, CLC, ole, ole. CLC, ole, ole, ole. CLC, ole, CLC, ole, ole.
Thanks to our sponsor, Golden Goal Press, the best choice for you to get custom shirts, hats, mugs, and other items for just yourself or your organization. Check out their amazing products at a fraction of the price of other places at goldengoalpress.com. Also, thanks to Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to the MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com.